Awesome. Yes, and while I'm getting my share set, I want to put a little plug out, a reminder that we do have plans for AI fellows to help us in this work with the AI competency literacy competency frameworks to make them specific to industry. So Jamie did a great job of making that connection really explicit there in the last few domains where she was describing the connection to workforce, and we do have those plans and we will need help for that. So stay tuned for that initiative. So want to continue with our theme here of being practical. A couple of weeks ago, maybe it's about a month ago now, I was in a webinar with faculty who were sharing about what they're doing in the classroom and where they are in their journey with incorporating AI skills, and came across Stacy Ybarra Evans. She did a presentation on this wonderful website toolkit that I want to introduce you to. So once you become more familiar with the student AI competency, literacy competency frameworks, I'll get it right one time, and the faculty one, here's where then once you have that experience and you have an understanding of the frameworks and what's there for you to incorporate it into your practice, come on over here to this website and see if it can help you in reimagining your assessments and assignments to make them more visible so you can see the learner doing the learning and the application of practice, and so we can get closer to observing and measuring what it is that we want students to be able to demonstrate as a result of our learning experiences. So this is called the AI Resistant Pedagogy Studio, and I'll walk you through that the site here in a minute, but I just want to be explicit again about how this site completely developed separate from what Jamie has just gone through in our collection of the frameworks, but is very well aligned, specifically in the four domains that I have listed here. So in the AI fundamentals, that need for transparency and setting those AI boundaries is represented in the studio. Also, the clear use of AI and those expectations with regard to your standards for ethical and responsible use. The evaluation domain with the reflection, critique, the emphasis on process and process documentation, and authentic performance of skills. And the last one here is again with that industry alignment, where again, we're seeing it here of the importance of why we're wanting to develop these skills within ourselves and within our learners is because it's relevant for industry. So let me go ahead and I'll go to the next slide here and just show you what's here. We'll share this slide deck following the session, but this is basically a walkthrough of what I'm going to show you here. So let me go ahead and stop sharing the PowerPoint and come back over to our site here. Okay, so this is the landing page. It's a kind of a different design of a website, so it was a little jarring for me, but what I'm noticing here are these buttons here act as tabs, so I'll refer to those as tabs. So here on the overview of this site is an explanation of the current landscape of assessment design and really the why there's an impetus for us to go back and look at what are we assessing, how are we designing our assessments, and how can we improve them in making them more resistant to AI use, or even just more transparent that we're measuring what it is we want students to be able to do. So there's the explanation here of the key implications of how that needs to change our pedagogy. And there's links here to the resources, the research that she has drawn upon to set up this toolkit. So feel free to explore that base overview page. And then there's a tab here of AI and education in the news. Some feedback here actually for Dr. Ybarra Evans is that some of these are old and maybe there could be some new ones that could be added, and I will follow up with her and see if she can do that for us and for the community. Here is a tab that's very similar to a tab that we have actually in our Bridging Minds and Machines website, where a list of tools by what they do, and a little description, a link to where you can find out how much it will cost, that sort of thing. So that is here, but also a little plug that we have that also on our resource site. And here is where on the framework tab, she goes through an explanation based on her research of these three areas of cognitive presence, social presence, and teaching presence. And in concert, bringing them together to then support discourse, select content, and setting a climate to improve that educational experience. Again, all in the reality of we are now in an AI learning environment and culture. She goes on down below to explain them a little bit more in detail. And then you'll see in the toolkit itself, as you're getting some ideas on redesigning your assignments, you're choosing one of these focus areas. So is it about the social presence? Is it about cognitive presence? Or is it about teaching presence? So highly encourage you to come and explore these in more detail once you get to this site. The next tab here has the strategies, again, in more detail, that engage in those areas. So the first one is on collaborative inquiry, and again, giving you some tips, some resources for you to explore that further, some guides. It's really very rich amount of information here. If your focus is on authentic engagement, again, looking at that connection to employer needs, this might be one that you want to focus on and give you some ideas for strategies. And then the last one, this is the one that we all have realized is more important than ever, is for learners to think about their learning, because they now have access to things that could replace it if we're not intentional in our assessments, in our assignments, and our instructions. So highly encourage you to read that one through. On the best practices, here's where you're overlaying some of your teaching best practices like universal design for learning, transparency and co-design, and accessing access and addressing the digital divide. So there's some overlap here with other initiatives, other frameworks for you to synthesize across the topic areas that she has identified. I'm going to skip over toolkit because I'm going to land on that one. You have some case studies that was brought up here a little bit earlier. We're looking for case studies from this population and across TBR. But here are some that are across the nation. Go and explore, see what those institutions, what those faculty are doing in this space, and see if that can spur some inspiration for you. Highly appreciate the use and transparency of case studies in this, because it's new for everybody. Here are some just kind of boilerplate activities you can consider. We've shared some like this in previous Tech Talk Tuesdays in the past. So you can go in and specify more criteria and drill down to more specific ideas in each of these types of activities. And then she ends with a tab here with more resources for continued work. So want to briefly go over this toolkit here. And again, that was outlined, the steps are outlined on the slide there. So where you come in with an idea of an assessment that you have, and you've looked again over the frameworks for faculty and student, and you're ready to reimagine what it is you're doing on an assessment or assignment. And so this has a few that you can choose from. These are kind of typical, maybe standard, if you think of types of activities and assessments. So let's take a look at, let's look at a research paper, a standard research paper. So let's say we want to reimagine that. And then here's where, again, you're looking at that student framework and seeing where you are wanting to pick up on that keyword for your assessment. And I want to get them to evaluate, get them a little bit higher in their thinking. And I want it to be tied to authentic engagement, because a lot of times At least in my experience, research papers are not tied to practice, but that doesn't mean they can't. And so I find that I need to make that improvement here. So I'm going to click on authentic engagement. And then I click on this button here, generate my redesign. And here, if I scroll back up, it's giving me some options. So here's one, and if you redo this, it'll give you another idea. So here's an oral history interview with a community member, could be an idea. Here's where it's asking you to encourage students to move beyond the lower order of recall and demonstrate a deeper level of cognitive engagement. Here's where the assignment is broken out with a 30-minute interview, and they're submitting that raw audio or whatever is the recording along with a reflective essay. So the reflection is very key in this work here. Again, capture their thoughts on their process rather than just only focusing on the product. And then here it gives you a couple ideas about the student experience and learning outcomes. So if you feel like this is something that you can engage with, once you, again, looked at those frameworks and come to know them, hop on over to this resource and see what it can do for you in reimagining. And to kind of get you started, wanted to see if anyone is brave enough or thinking about an assignment or assessment right now. What's one small change you can make to make it more authentic, make the learning more transparent to you as the faculty? Want to see if there's any ideas out there. I'll transition over to the slide deck. Maybe not yet. We do want to hear from you. So when those come to mind, feel free to share that with us.
I can do this. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, hey, I'm Kathy Whitted. I'm doing some teaching a social work class, an undergraduate communities and organizations class. And one of the things that I borrowed from somebody else and kind of modified is I had the students role play with a community leader using AI. And so I gave them the prompts and gave them safety prompts, but had them pick somebody within the community. So they'd pick like maybe a school principal and they wanted to maybe do like a bullying prevention program. So they would kind of pitch that to the principal and then I have them, respond to different prompts and ask them certain things and give the parameters of what AI is supposed to, what they're supposed to do in their role. And that worked really well. The students seemed to like that.
Awesome. Great example. And think of the value to the community too, if you're doing that as well. I mean, it's a win-win. Anyone else? Awesome. Well, we do want to make sure that you can connect with us. And so here I'm sharing our final slide with how that can happen. If you go to the tbr.edu website, you can now find our AI Learning Collaborative available under the Office of Academic Affairs, that tab, that section. Here we have some screen captures of what you'll find there. So that includes information about our resource site, the Bridging Minds and Machines. Also, information about our Tech Talk Tuesdays, about our communities of practice, as well as our AI Learning Exchange, where you can share your ideas. Like that idea, go ahead and share it in the AI Learning Exchange so that we can share that out with our communities. So I want to encourage anyone to have any other questions or have any other ideas they want to share with the group. Go ahead, Jamie.
I just wanted to reiterate that start small, start what you're comfortable with, kick it open for a conversation. Ask students how they're thinking and feeling. We started out this journey that we're on with meeting with stakeholders across TBR, and we asked them how they were thinking and feeling. And that's a great way to start this conversation and to open it up with students. Remember, the point is not to be an AI expert. We're not designing and building these unless you're in a CITC course and you're thinking about doing that, of course. But we are focusing on the end user use, right? And so just kick it open and have a conversation with your students and ask them what tools they're using, how are they using them. And so it's a great way to start to build. It's a trust relationship, right? So that's where we are with this. And we're building trust with our students and thinking about these innovative technologies that change every day. So let's bring them along in our learning. I'm not going to walk into a room and say I'm an AI expert, because I am not. I am a learner in this environment. And I am so excited to collaborate with everyone, and as our team is. And again, we're here to support you. And if you're thinking about how you can, we talked about process versus product a little bit earlier in the chat. We do some work on that. So we are very happy to share that with you and to talk about that with you a little bit further and what that actually looks like in a course. So be sure to tap into us, and we're here to support you.
Very good. Well, we'll hang on for another 5 minutes if anyone else wants to come on and tell us about their experiences, or have any other questions for the team. But the rest, if you're ready to go, we'll let you out a little early.